oil refinery in Haifa using advanced Kheibar Shekan solid fuel ballistic missiles. The IRGC described the attack as direct revenge for Israeli and U.S. strikes that targeted the oil depots and infrastructure around Tehran, igniting massive fires. Let's in fact take a look at the oil depots that have in fact been attacked in Iran, because this is very important to understand. Now the strategy has shifted from military infrastructure to nuclear infrastructure to these oil depots in Iran, and Iran is also doing the same by attacking the Haifa port in Israel. So let's look at the oil depots or the structures that have been struck in Iran. First we have the Shahran oil depot. The total oil storage over there is around 260 million liters. That's a huge capacity, and the number of storage tanks is around 11. Remember that we have a visual of that particular oil depot actually being struck by these missiles. So this has been attacked, the Shahran oil depot. We are playing out that video for you. Huge fumes of smoke and fire engulfing the entire region. The daily throughput is around 8 million liters, and the operational capacity is 3 days of fuel needs for Tehran. So it can provide fuel alone for Tehran for 3 days. So that's how huge the capacity really is, and 8 million liters is the output capacity of this entire oil depot that has unfortunately now been hit through this strike. So this is number one, the Shahran oil depot. Let's look at who is actually storing the oil here. We have the National Iranian Oil Refining and Distribution Company, which is state owned. This is the organization that is actually storing their fuel requirements over there in the 11 tanks that we told you about, the storage tanks. So we also have the Tehran Oil Refining Company, which has a storage tank over here, and we also have the NIORDC, which is also state owned. So another oil company that also has stakes over here. So these are some of the companies that actually have stakes over here at the Shahran oil depot, which has been struck over. All right. Now let's look at Shahar. Now let's look at Khan Oil Depot. Who stores the oil at the Khan Oil Depot? We have the National Iranian Oil Refinery and Distribution Company, state owned. So we have the state owned company again storing oil at the Khan Oil Depot, which has also been struck. So now when we are talking about this change strategies, we are giving out those visuals for you as well. The Karaj oil depot, which has also been struck. Who is storing the oil there? We have the National Iranian Oil Refining and Distribution Company. So all the government most storage facilities being actually attacked. We have the Kohak oil depot. Who is storing the oil there? The National Iranian Oil Refinery again and Distribution Company, which is state owned as well. So we are seeing all those various refineries being attacked. Mostly affected companies look like the state owned companies and some of the privately owned companies as well. But now the strategy is changing. They are trying to attack all these oil refineries. Let me go across to Mithali ma'am for this. Ma'am, obviously you have spoken about the entire economic effect, the broader implications for the entire world. But when we talk about oil, when we talk about gas, this is something that the entire world looks towards the Gulf and West Asia for supplies, and now the focus of the war has shifted to these oil fields, to these oil storage units, because in Iran it's been attacked, and Iran is retaliating by attacking Haifa. We are seeing some attacks in Iraq and Saudi Arabia, oil storage facilities as well. So how do you see this playing out eventually, ma'am? Because obviously even if you manage to stop the war, the resumption or the storage facilities, making sure that these storage facilities start working again, will take some time.
Absolutely. It takes months, to restart production once production has been halted, and this is exactly what Qatar has done. I think it's a pragmatic move when we look at, the reaction of the Gulf countries to this war, because if you look at history, historically, every time a conflict has broken out in the Middle East, there's been a tacit understanding amongst the Gulf countries not to hit each other's oil depots, not to hit each other's oil refinery capabilities, because it is understood amongst the Gulf countries that this is the main revenue source that they all have, which they supply to the rest of the world. But this time, it seems like all gloves are off. And honestly, when you look at the way this war has been playing out, it seems much more to be an war around control of oil resources. President Trump's tweets also indicate that this is about control. This is not about defense. This is not about, any sort of principles, but rather about economic domination. And that's exactly what we're seeing playing out, because it's about control of the oil resources. And for a country which is then being, it has been in this unprovoked war, for them it makes, again, tactical sense to attack the weak points of even, their neighbors. So, but I think it is to be welcomed that Iran has made the first move towards de-escalation by saying that they will not attack their neighbors unless, an attack comes from them. And I think that in itself is something which should be commended, in terms of, the first step towards de-escalation. And the only way in which the countries can actually come out of this situation, and it will take them at least 6 months to stabilize production, is through immediate ceasefires and de-escalation.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we are running short of time on this broadcast to discuss this further, but I thank you, Ambassador Gupta, General Dwivedi and Mithali, for speaking to NewsX and for taking your time out. With that, we are wrapping up this bulletin.